The men over here have something we call the African spirituality. And I like to dwell on that because when you come to Ghana, 25 million to 27 million people, most people are Christianized today.
People have been allowed themselves to be brainwashed, believing that everything black, everything Africa is evil.
No, I don't want to be a Christian, and I know why I am not a Christian. I see Christianity as a kind of spiritual enslavement.
That Jesus Christ was born through spirit. How can?
There is no spirituality, but rather exploitation.
Yeah.
People have become lazy and spend all the time in church, and their lives does not improve a bit.
Defining the African faith. I have been driving around Ghana, talking to different people, talking to different religious leaders on the African faith. Who are we as black people? Black Empire news coming out of Ghana, out of Africa, international. ZOH TV. We're trying to define the faith of black people around the world. So this is Black Empire News. You comment, you subscribe, and you tell us what you think. Who are we and what is our identity? I am reporting live from Ghana, in a small little town in the middle of Eastern region called Wenchi, defining the African faith. Defining the African faith. I'm still on my episode and I'm heading to the University of Ghana now. I'm going to go interview, a diasporan. And if you've been watching my show before, I did an episode on a man called Obadele Kambon. This man is also believed to be somebody quite powerful in understanding the origin of the black man, the spiritual systems of the black man. Right to the world, it's been quite challenging for us getting to this part of the world where we are now. Still in Accra though, you know what I mean? We are in a place called Hacho. And still on the topic, defining the African faith. And I've been speaking to Osofo Haji and I've been speaking to Nana Sufi, but today on a different level. And as I said earlier on, speaking to an African, diasporan African, immigrated back to Africa. He got a different thing to say, and he has been studying and studying and studying and studying and studying. Defining the African faith, you know what I'm talking about. Why? Because the modern Africa is not connected to its own roots. It looks to me like we are hanging in the sky. And that's why I'm here today, talking about defining the African faith. My man is in the house, he's going to mention his own name. Papa.
All right. So I'm Dr. Obadele Kambon.
Yes.
As you mentioned, African anti-American,
Yeah.
repatriated here to the continent,
Madala.
and also initiated into the Akan system, Akropon as an Osofo,
Okay.
the traditional one, not the church one.
Yeah, the traditional one, not the church
traditional
one.
one.
Did you hear that? Osofo, traditional one, but not the church one.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And then also I received the right hand of Ifa, and then also Eshu, that's in the Yoruba tradition as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so
So when somebody say Dr. Obadele Kambon, if I may ask, like, what is your faith? Is your Christian faith or Buddhist faith or Muslim faith, Islamic faith? Even though you've told me that you've been initiated, it would be good for the audiences to actually hear it direct. What is your faith?
Yeah, so I'm an African.
Yes.
Right. So when we understand that our system, our understanding of the Creator is part of a way of life.
Okay.
So it's all encompassing.
Okay.
So this is what we were doing before the Europeans came,
Yeah.
before the Arabs came, before
Yeah.
all of these, folks came with
Yeah.
their faiths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, but when you walk around Ghana today, not only Ghana, but the entire African continent and somewhere other world, in the diasporan world, like say Brazil and other places, you see that most black people are geared towards more of the Christian faith and the Islamic faith than the African indigenous belief system. Why is it so?
Right. I think that if we want to understand why we are where we are,
Yeah.
then we have to understand
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
So when we look at, all over the place, the worse our conditions are, the more we are into
Yeah.
these we're worshiping the gods of our, enemies,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
So one of the things is that when we look at our own African spirituality,
Yes.
you look at times where we defeated Europeans, we were using African spirituality
Okay.
to do that. So you
Yeah.
look at Haiti.
Yes.
I was actually just looking at a documentary on that,
Yeah.
where you had all these different types of African people who were coming together.
Yes.
And
So in you're using this reference, using Haiti as a
Yeah,
reference for
exactly,
this. Yeah. All right.
exactly. So you had all of them coming together using Vodun, using African spirituality,
Yeah.
and defeating Europeans. You can look
Yeah.
all the way to ancient Kemet,
Yeah.
where you had Africans. If you read, there's a text called the Autobiography of Winnie,
Yeah.
another one called Harkuf.
Okay.
So when you read those, they're saying they're bringing together all these different types of
Yeah.
black people. So
Yeah.
Kemet itself means land of the black people.
All right.
And they're coming together with the...
The ordinary man on the street probably don't understand Kemet because when we went to school, we never taught what
Yeah.
Kemet was.
Yeah.
Just for the purposes of my viewership, where is Kemet as we speak of today?
Right. So when we're talking about Kemet, we're talking about what is now the countries of Egypt and northern Sudan.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So here, when we're seeing Kemet, we're saying Kemet itself was the indigenous name for Egypt.
Okay.
So Egypt is coming from Hut Ka Ptah, which means the enclosure
Yeah.
of the soul of
Yeah.
Ptah, which was a deity.
Yeah.
Egyptos,
Yeah.
that's the Greek rendering.
Yeah.
The indigenous name of the people themselves was land
Yeah.
of black people.
Yeah.
And they refer to themselves also as black people.
Yeah.
Right? So that's very profound in the sense that they're coming together with all types of different
Yeah.
black people.
All right.
So they're saying, okay, we're bringing together the Irjet Nubians, the Wawat Nubians,
Yeah.
the Sejer Nubians,
Okay.
all of these Nubians,
Yeah.
both sides, upper and lower Kemet,
Yeah.
in order to fight off these Asiatics.
Okay.
So they're using their own
I'm not
spirituality.
interjecting, but if I want to understand this, I always hear the popular saying that civilization started in Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization. It becomes a jargon that almost everybody uses without not really understanding what that is about. The archaeologists will say that the first humans were found in East Africa or was found in. They always bring something up that shows that man, the origination of man, was in Africa. Just for the purpose of my audiences again, when we say Kemet now, in respect to coming back to defining the African faith, when we say Kemet, do we want to say that is that where the civilization started from?
Well,
if in your knowledge, yeah.
If we want to go
Or
to
was
the
there
people of Kemet,
anything before Kemet?
right? If you want to look at what the people of Kemet themselves say, they say that civilization and that the ancestors came from further into the south, further into the interior. There's a text called the Famine Stela.
The what?
The Famine Stela.
The farming stela.
And
Alright.
the background of it was that there was a 7-year famine.
Okay.
And, Kemet depended on Hapi. That was the Nile River. That was the indigenous name of the Nile River.
Okay.
So the Nile wasn't flooding.
Yeah.
Every year they would depend on the inundation that would bring, the silt coming from the mountains in Ethiopia, Uganda,
Right.
all the way down. And then when the flood comes,
Yeah.
it overruns the land. It, deposits all the silt, makes the soil fertile,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
goes back. So it wasn't flooding, and there was therefore a famine. They weren't able to feed the population, so they wanted to find out, what can we do,
Yeah.
about this famine. And they sent Imhotep, who was the world's first multi-genius.
Okay.
They sent him to the source of the Nile in order to find out what's going on.
All right.
So he went down to the south to the place where, you know, all of this was happening, where it was coming from, and found what they called it the Twin Caverns. Now,
Okay.
this is referring to the place where the White Nile and the Blue Nile meet.
Okay.
So we're talking around
The twin, what was the name? The twin.
the Twin Caverns.
The Twin- okay.
Caverns.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
referring to the White Nile.
Yeah, the White Nile and the Blue Nile.
And that's around Khartoum, which is, you know, where they're coming together.
Okay.
So in this, they're saying they had to go to, you know, this place of the Twin Caverns, a place from which the ancestors had come.
Yeah.
They realized that there's a small island. I actually got a chance to see this when I was in Kemet last month.
Okay.
There was a small island, which is the place of the Temple of Khnum.
The temple
Of Khnum.
of Khnum.
Right, which
All
was
right.
the creator deity,
Okay.
who was seen like a potter, the one who, you know, molds the bodies. You'll find similar concepts amongst the Yoruba, Obadele,
Okay.
and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, you know, where we are now,
Yeah.
you've seen a lot of connection between the how do you call it, the indigenous system of today's West Africa, I would say, because I haven't been to East Africa before, but what I would say of the voodoo system, the Ifa system, you see a connection between this one and the ancient system in Kemet.
yeah.
Keep watching ZOH TV. Is number one.
Okay.
And this is actually in 2012, 2013, this organization called DNA Tribes.
Yeah.
They actually did genetic studies on the mummies of the ancient rulers who were called Nesu in ancient Kemet, which we know as pharaohs.
Yeah.
The word pharaoh actually comes from Per-A-A, which translates to great house.
Yes.
Per being house and A-A being great.
Yeah.
And it would basically saying the White House says, or Downing Street says, or whatever.
All right.
But the actual title was Nesu. So, you know, for that, they actually, you know, did these DNA tests and found that the closest genetic matches of these ancient rulers of Kemet were found in South Africa, Southern Africa, found in East Africa, in the Great Lakes region,
Okay.
and then also found in West Africa.
Okay.
After that, they found that they were in the Sahel region.
All right.
After that, they found that they were in the Horn of Africa.
Okay.
They went through all the different parts of
Part
Africa.
of Africa, yeah.
Before it comes to North Africa, that's the invaders who are there now.
Yes.
So you keep going down, down, down. Every type of African who we know as African.
Okay.
Before you come to, you know, these ones. Before you go to Levant, that's now talking about the so-called Middle East.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going down, and then it gets minuscule, you know, very little relation.
All right.
So this is genetic tests
Okay.
that are actually confirming what scholars like Sehanta Diop and Theophile Obenga have been saying for years.
Okay.
That these, you know, are African people, the same people that you look around
All right.
and see. So you see it, you
Yeah.
know, in, you know, the images, how they carve themselves, the
Yeah.
language, how they refer to themselves as
Yeah.
black people.
Yeah.
But now genetic tests are saying the exact same thing.
Wow. Wow. So, if I may ask, like, you know, some of us in Ghana here, we were born into the masses religion. When I say the masses religion, at the time I was born, it was the Christian religion. So we go to school, you have to be either maybe Methodist or Catholic or Presbyterian or, you know. So you already sort of been ordained into the Christian mindset already. But from your background, for you to be able to get all this, you know, strength and studies and get into this indigenous belief system, what was your first faith? What faith have you been through? Other series of faith before you got to where you are now, or you were initiated right into the indigenous belief system?
Initiated right into the indigenous one. So
Yes.
this is the thing, and this is why it's important for continental Africans and diasporan Africans to connect.
Yes.
My mother first came to Ghana in 1972. I was
Yes.
born in 79.
Yeah.
She started her initiation into the indigenous African spiritual systems in the mid-90s somewhere. So I was still in my teens.
Yes.
She brought me to Ghana in 98.
Yeah.
So I've never been, I went to a church one time, and it was ironically when my parents came to Africa, they went to Kenya, to Kemet,
Yeah.
Egypt for your viewers.
Yeah.
And they left me with my aunt. I won't say anything about my aunt. But that one Sunday, it went over a Sunday, so I went to that church and I was sitting there the whole time like, you're supposed to be adults. Why are you so irresponsible worshiping this, imaginary white boy, right?
Yeah.
That was my one time ever going to church. I would like to say I've never been there, but that was my one time.
Yeah.
So I've never been in Christianity, never been in any, what I like to call Eurasian worship systems.
Yeah.
Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen says, religion is a deification of a culture.
Yeah.
Right? So if you are from a culture that's in the desert, then you'll find that part of the religion is saying you take a little bit of water and rub here, you take because they're in a place with no water.
Yeah.
So they basically deified lack of water.
Yeah.
But why does that make sense? We're in Ghana where it's flooding every day.
Yeah.
But they've just elevated being in a desert to this is now the holy process that you have to go through.
Yeah.
So these are things that we often don't even think about logically.
Yeah.
When you look at Eurasians, when they decided to, change the image of the original Holy Trinity to the one that you all know now, that was just an arbitrary decision. Pope Alexander VI, amongst others, saying, let's make them look like us. So now they've just elevated themselves and said, why are we worshiping black people?
Yeah.
But even to this day, if you go all throughout Europe, you'll find all of these images of the Black Madonna, that's the Mary, and the Black Child, which was, originally Heru, but now it comes to us as the Jesus. So
okay. So you know how a lot of people will argue, and say, what they say, not argue per se, but they say most religion that is being practiced in today's modern world, which is the Christian religions, the Buddhists, the Islam, they all came out of the indigenous belief system. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I do. This is the thing. When you look at, just the example I gave you of how they changed the image to a white one. Yeah. If you look at Buddhism, right? If you look at the oldest depictions of the Buddha, you will see him as black, and he has his hair in what they call Bantu knots. So just like this, but it's twisted into a small knot like this. So those are the oldest images. But now, if you look at more recent, images over the past, several hundred years, if you go to Thailand, Buddha looks Thai.
Yes, Buddha looks Thai.
China, Buddha looks Chinese. If you're in India, Buddha looks like the Aryan invader Indians, the Hindu. If you, go to Japan, you look Japan, anywhere you go. So this is one thing to keep in mind, even though it did, originally come from us. Think about how they didn't preserve the sanctity of the image. Okay. So by the same token, how would you expect them to have preserved the sanctity of the content, the spiritual system itself? So they made revisions to make it fit them. You understand? So this is why I always tell people we have to look at the source. We have to go to ancient Kemet. We have to read the source text. Otherwise, we're depending on.
So with you, for all black people around the world now, people that either in Africa or wherever it is, and that have black, descendant, you say that the source of our spirituality is in Kemet.
I would say look at the Nile Valley. I wouldn't only say. So Kemet is the child of further into the south, according to the Africans and Kemet themselves. Right. Yeah. So I would say look at the Nile Valley. Okay. I would say Kemet was probably the most flourishing, out of them, and that's why we oftentimes talk about Kemet. But when you read the actual text of what the people in Kemet themselves say, they say, let's go down to the south, and this is one of the major things about Kemet is they have an orientation where they refer to the south as upper Kemet, and they refer to the north as lower Kemet. Okay. They refer to the east as the left. They refer to the west as the right. So all of this means that their orientation, they're facing. So the east is on my left, so picture Somalia. The west is on my right, picture Dakar, Senegal. Okay. Therefore, my face is towards my origin, the place that I came from. All right. This is upper, this is lower. So basically, the map that we look at is turned upside down. So originally, this was the orientation. Okay. So
the map is upside down.
Right. Okay. And when you think about what having your back towards something means in African culture, it means that this is something insignificant. So even when we say michi, in Yoruba we say kenisi, like I'm putting my back towards something. It's seen as, there's nothing there. What am I? Looking at that, the place where I'm coming from is where I'm facing. So again, if you look at everything about Kemet, they're telling you go to the actual source.
Defining the African faith ZOH TV out of Ghana, out of Africa, is international. You know, keep watching it. This is a subject of discussion for all the black people around the world. We're trying to find the identity of the black man and the black woman.